Hello, I'm Diane Birnholz, and today I've got a case that plays into the theme I've raised in my recent videos about the need to take sex offenses more seriously, particularly when minors are targeted. So let me take you to our predator of the day, Dylan Robert Dukes, a music teacher at an elementary school in South Carolina. He wins Teacher of the Year at Star Elementary School for the 2023 to 2024 school year. However, during that exact same school year, the 27-year-old Dukes develops an obsession with an 11-year-old girl who's a student of his. In 2023, or maybe even earlier, Dukes begins giving this girl all kinds of inappropriate and obsessive attention. He showers her with gifts and photos. He gives her many hugs, which she doesn't want and which she says she feels forced into. She is getting more and more uncomfortable with her creepy music teacher who just won't stop. Then, at the beginning of summer break in 2024, Dukes gives her a personalized box full of at least 60 love letters, one for each day of the week during the summer break. They say things like, "I love you very much," "I've missed you." So now the girl has to change schools as she and her family want to get her away from this predator. And what does Dukes do when he realizes that he's not going to see his obsession anymore? He joins her church. This little girl literally cannot get away from him. The family is afraid. This criminal behavior goes on unabated until July 10, 2024, when Dukes is arrested for felony stalking. Police search Dukes' desk and they find photos, many photos of this girl. The police note that these photos are not sexual in nature. At hearing in court, the victim's mother tells the judge that her daughter no longer feels safe in the very places where a child should feel safe, like at school and at church. The mom tells the judge that Dukes would pout in church if her daughter didn't give him a hug. The judge, though, releases Dukes on a $50,000 bond. Apparently, he's convinced by Dukes' defense attorney, who repeatedly mentions to the judge that Dukes was Teacher of the Year just the year before. Well, the South Carolina Board of Education has heard enough and suspends Dukes. Now, the maximum sentence for stalking under the South Carolina statute is 5 years in jail. The maximum penalties are higher if the stalker has a prior conviction for stalking or if the stalking violates a restraining order. However, although he's charged with stalking, on November 12, 2025, Dukes pleads guilty to first-degree harassment, which is a lower-level offense. I've looked up the South Carolina harassment statute, and it's listed as only a misdemeanor, which actually is a little confusing to me as the maximum penalty is listed as 3 years, and ordinarily misdemeanors only go up to 1 year max. But anyway, the real difference here between stalking and harassment is the effect it has on the victim, with harassment defined as causing mental or emotional distress in the victim, and with stalking is defined as causing the victim to fear criminal, sexual contact, or assault. The victim here was indeed afraid that Dukes was going to get physical with her, so stalking seems to be the more appropriate crime. And according to People.com, the Anderson County Sheriff said, detectives believe they interrupted the situation before it escalated, noting it was fortunate that this is the one and only charge and that the child had feared the behavior could become physical. As a former prosecutor myself, I'm at a loss as to why Dukes was allowed to plead to a lesser crime. And the reason there's only one charge is because he was only charged with one count. Surely there could have been more charges. The predatory behavior was not a single instance. It was continuing for months, if not years. Now at the sentencing, the judge gives Dukes the maximum 3-year sentence, but then the judge suspends the sentence. What this means is that Dukes is only looking at 5 years of probation. There are conditions. He must receive mental health treatment, give up his teaching credentials, and have no contact whatsoever with this child, as in a permanent restraining order. But Dukes is a free man. You know who else was an elementary school teacher? Andrew McGann, the Arkansas Devil's Den killer who has been charged with a double murder of a mom and dad who were out hiking with their two young girls. McGann was also accused of inappropriately paying attention to little girls in his class and having them sit on his lap. So the red flags are here. I hope the sheriff is keeping a very close eye on Dylan Robert Dukes. I, for one, fear that this guy's days as a predator are far from over.